Hello everybody, today I have the pleasure to propose to you this key 15 entitled Space-Time, No Time to Lose. Well, this is absolutely fascinating topic and key because it's make turning the heads of most of the planet and most of the people since the dawn of time. What is space-time? Literally, I cannot dissociate time and space, okay? Because concretely, both are linked together. And even we will have to add a third one, which is consciousness, okay? Concretely, space-time is something that's it's abstract and also it's absolutely subjective. Okay, it's a matter of fact. If, for instance, you are in a party without alcohol, of course, because altered consciousness affect the perception of time. But let's say if you are partying 1 hour and you just sit down and you observe your watch, for example, is not the same hour in terms of perception. Let's imagine that there is some analysis regarding the dream duration. The maximum of a dream is 6 seconds, the maximum. It means that sometimes we have the feeling to have struggled during the whole night long and so on. Actually, it's not more than this is your dream. But the fact to have dissociate the fragment and so on, you perceive it differently. On the other way around, if you are powered off, for instance, 1 century, and then we wake you up after 1 century, you will wake up and you will not feel super fresh after 1 century, but you will have the feeling to have sleep probably 3 or 4 days maximum, 1 week vacation, but never have the feeling to have spent this duration of 1 century. So what is interesting, and especially with this notion that I use as an analogy regarding the dream of 6 seconds, you know, Einstein, the great scientist, said the following: the past, the present, the future are an illusion. Actually, just one thing quite concerning is the fact that the narrow of time does not exist. Time and space-time is absolutely not linear. It is cycle, like a cycle, is cyclic, and even worse, it's worse, I mean more precisely, it is like a spiral. A spiral, and if I'm more purist, it is like a torus, like a toroidal energy, okay? Just to be a little bit precise. So let's explain concretely. If you want an analogy, space-time would be like a kind of carpet on which there is some embroidery and it is, you know, roll up, okay? So concretely, you try to unfold it and the observer can discover the embroideries. So literally, the carpet, you just unfold it through time and space. So concretely, that's why both are conceptual, okay? It means they are narrowly linked, okay? So space without time is impossible and vice versa, okay? So even at the beginning, the Big Bang is a concentration on space and time, a concentration of all the information in progress and informal. It means that there was no shape, no form at the beginning, just pure information. So they are so concentrated on themselves that then there is explosion of the Big Bang. And then space-time spread over the time, okay? It means literally it's unfold space-time, all right? Same principle of the carpet, instead that it is in 300, is like a sphere, so it's atmosphere. It's like, let's say, 360 degrees, okay? So, and concretely, our present time is just this moment of the increase of the sphere. But inside the sphere, there is the all layers, okay, like onions. But you cannot see anymore the past, and you cannot see the future. And I'm going to explain you why it's not possible. But literally, the past still exists. The proof is, we found some probe, okay, in the cosmos to observe not really the pictures of the Big Bang, but from the past. And for sure, we got some images, also retranscription of energies, encoding the fact that we can imagine what was the atmosphere at this period of time. So concretely, the vibrations are still there somewhere, okay? So what does it mean concretely? It's interesting because we went back to 3 billion years, okay, knowing that the Big Bang is 4.6 billion of years, okay? So this is interesting because it's the phenomenon, just for you to understand and visualize with an analogy, is like when you throw a stone into the water, okay? You have some ripple effects, okay? So the ripple effects, some waves, each of them are diluting over the space, over the time and through the space, right? And after a while, you don't see. It's calm and stable. But at the lowest scale, you could see still these movements. And this is the movement. This energy that we retranscribe through the microwave. I don't remember exactly what's the technical principle, but anyway, you can find on internet easily. This is possible, okay? So it's science, it's not spirituality. But what is interesting is this notion of rapidity of time. Once again, if you have 6 seconds maximum of your dream and you really have the feeling, actually, no, it was longer, I had the real, like a story, okay? Observe that. You watch a video, a movie on YouTube or whatever, okay? And you have this capacity, this feature to accelerate, okay? So it's 2 hours. You can accelerate by 2, okay? It will be only 1 hour. It's possible to watch it like this. You can even, there is not the function, but if you could, okay, multiply by 4, half an hour. Well, I think they would speak quite rapidly. I'm not sure you could understand. But anyway, let's continue. And you multiply by 8, 15 minutes, and by 16, okay, and so on, 7.5 minutes, and so on. And you reduce till 1 second. And then you want to watch Titanic? Yeah, okay. Okay, you click on, and then 1 second Titanic. Did you watch Titanic? Oh yeah. How is it? I don't know. I didn't understand anything. Why? Because you have everything. You don't have the timeline of the events, okay? It's compact. So there is the kiss, there is the, let's say, the twist and so on, the beginning and so on, compact. So you don't unfold the story, the information through the space and over the time. And this is the point, actually. So that's why I'm saying that consciousness, individual consciousness, will make the difference with the consciousness, the divine consciousness, which is the sum of the whole individual consciousness. But just let's focus on the small c and small consciousness, individual consciousness. Basically, your mind is just your filter. You filter. Why? Otherwise, it would be impossible to understand anything. Is the filter of your consciousness is the same principle of the fact to exist. You need to separate. You fragment. Is the same principle actually, because you could understand with this analogy that if you have all the images at the same time, you will not understand anything. So let's continue our journey. Actually, the reality that you see is just a superposition of pictures. This illusion of movement is basically just an illusion. How come and how it is possible? When you know cinematography or photography, you know that every single second you have a superposition of 24 portraits, 24 pictures of you. Okay, so once again, 24, 24, 24, 24, 24. And then the juxtaposition, the superposition of all of them, okay, creates the notion of illusion of movements. By the way, when you're kids, and for example, you have a notebook and you design, some philos, okay, very simply, and you just change a little bit, and then you do, it's make a cartoon, right? It's the same for life. It means that what you see now is 20 picture of me, 20 picture of me, 20 picture of me, 20 picture of me, and then it gives the illusion of movements, and it's really interesting for this because, and by the way, that's why the certain manga, they have a stroboscopic vision. Why? Because they only use 12 draws. Okay, so that's why they are a bit robots, like this. It's because of that. There is less fluidity in the movement of the movie. Anyway, let's come back to the point on the fact that it is not linear, but it is necessary for existing and for understanding the stories and the events and life in general. Let's imagine and let's take another analogy. It's the same principle. I'm thirsty. Okay, fine. Can I have some water? Okay, you ask with your glass, and then we serve with a bottle of water. There's no problem. You drink. That's fine. Okay. If you don't have this filter and you are in front of a dam, okay, and then we open up the door, and then you are submerged, you're overwhelmed by the deluge of tons and cubic meter of water and so on. But you die. You die. Okay, so it's the same principle. And honestly, to have lived it in 2001, and I described that in the book, which is in the free access in English, Sage Passage, Utopia. I explained at the beginning it's a character, but it's my true story. I lived this experience of out of body, and I was out of time, out of the space-time, and I really had this big picture of seeing like different screens of realities, like encroach and superposed and entangled as well. It was really, really crazy. Anyway, a lot of information and so on. And when I came back, honestly, to my normal consciousness, I took 7 days, and I thought I was crazy. I was 21 years old. Was crazy, and even the all information I had to digest them, I took 20 years almost. And this is the point, actually. If we don't have this filter, I insist so much, we would become crazy and also nuts, and we would not understand basically the principle of life. To understand properly what is the notion of space-time, we can take the example when I say is not the arrow of time. It is like a building. Okay, the building you can consider 21st floor is now. Okay, let's say 18th floor is French Revolution, U.S. independence. 14, 15, and 16 is Inquisition. Okay, Renaissance, 16 and so on. And the first stage is Pilatus and Jesus Christ, okay? And the cellar would be the cave, the myth of cave with Plato, okay? So it's -6 because minus, I mean, 6th century before Jesus Christ, okay? So these buildings still exist. It means that Inquisition still exists. The French Revolution there still exists, but it's at a different degree of energy. Since the beginning of this video, you didn't mention, you didn't see, but I did a few hundred kilometers, sorry, because Earth moved among the cosmos, okay? So where is this past? It's still over there, okay? So we could catch this information. So this now here, this present moment exists, and the previous one still exists as well. And the future exists already. I don't want to shock you, but all exists and all ready to exist. So you're gonna think, yeah, but where is the free will? Because if everything is predetermined, actually it's more complex than this. Because every single moment, so, okay, there is it's empiled, okay, you have the different fragment of time still continuing and future as well, but it's more complex than this because every scenario is duplicated among the multiverse, parallel world. So let's take this example of my fingers, okay? This is like the subway, okay, is line 1, line 2, line 3, and so on. Here, it's you imagine that on the walls there is some, let's say, cartoons entangled, and just by the movements of the subway, it creates an animation. Okay, so line 1, it's the cats eating the mouse. Okay, so you see this scene. Then 10 minutes later, some other observer in the subway will see the same scene, and endlessly like this. Line 2, this is the cat, the mouse eating the cats because it took too much Monsanto product. And then, so the battle in the other way around, another scenario. And then 10 minutes later, and so on. They are continuing in their universe, okay? So, but the people in the line 1 doesn't see the scene in the line 2, and so on. Line 3, the cat is sleeping, so the mouse is playing, and so on. So there is many. So all scenarios exist. But the thing is the observer. The observer is the consciousness. Concretely, is a metaphor, of course. But that's why Einstein say, regarding energy, he say concretely the fact that all what you think, this is what we saw with Buddha, he say, you become what you think, you attract what you feel, and you create what you imagine. So basically, Einstein said, when you vibrate a scenario, something, you cannot not reach it. So you will reach it. Why? Because your frequency allows you to shift immediately to a scenario, to a scene of the scenario of the line of. So what does it mean? It means that, fasten your seatbelt. Imagine this is the multiverse, but I only have 5 fingers. It should be like this and full of fingers. So this is one destiny, okay, like this. Imagine, Jason, think the future will be horrible. Darkness, civil war, and the end of the times. Humanity is destroyed, nuclear attack, and so on, and everything is destroyed. Okay, it goes in that direction. Me, personally, I think that the world will be a new era and a new paradigm, and everybody will awake and so on, and will be super positive and so on, in the lightness, okay? So concretely, it's here. Jessica, she's in between, middle path. She thinks that in 50 years it will be a copy-paste almost, a little bit different, but not really. Here is another scenario and so on. Jason exists in the universe of Jessica. Jessica exists in my universe and Jason also. So what does, and I exist in all of them. But it is my little me, like a puppet, like without my consciousness. It means that I behave like if he were me, but my consciousness is here. So me, I don't care that we copy-paste my character. I'm here consciously, I'm here. So here, I would say to Jessica, oh, you were right. Finally, nothing happened. And in this one, I will say, Jason, you're right. The world is really a piece of shit, and humanity doesn't deserve anything. It's good that it's the end because it was a disaster and so on. Okay? And Jason here, it's coexisting as well. Is literally him, his character, without his consciousness, is here. So he say, finally, you're right, and so on. Finally, I find new ways, and I open up myself, my consciousness, and it was a matter of fact because it's happened as well. So, but actually, we shift. It means that maybe after a while, in this scenario, you refuse to believe in the darkness, and then you change his state of mind, and he shift. Maybe we shift regularly. So that's why the mindset is extremely powerful. That's why rising your energy, your frequencies, and that's why Tesla say if you want to find the secret of the universe, things in terms of energy, vibration, and frequencies, it means literally that. Because the frequencies brings you towards, let's say, the vibration of co-creation. That's why, once again, Jesus say, for instance, the kingdom of heaven is among you, meaning within you. Okay, so it means literally, if you raise your vibration, you are in the paradise. I'm in the paradise, not necessarily on the physical way, but my mind, when I feel in love, when I feel passionate, when I love nature, when I love humanity and so on, I'm in paradise. No more need. And I'm in harmony, unity, and so on. I find the salvation. But on the other way around, if I'm in the anger, I want to kill everybody and so on, I'm in hell, basically. So that's a notion of energy. So this is really interesting actually to think about this notion of consciousness and to be aware about this and as the functioning. Because we could also take the analogy of, the notion of the magic tree, okay, the tree of life. Because the tree is really interesting because you have the ramification, okay? All the trees, all the branches, are nourished by the same sap, okay? And the sap could be considered as the living, the divinity in a certain extent, okay? The trunk would be your soul. And then all this branch is one incarnation, okay? You were I don't know, Kennedy, and you were before, Hemingway, and then you were Gengis Khan, and then you went unknown, and so on. You continue to vibrate, and you are nourished by the same sap. The roots of the tree of life would be the invisible world, ancestors, spirits, energies, and so on. Okay, and then beyond of the tree of life, there is the forest of life. It means other soul, and the soul, and all together, the forest would be, in a certain extent, the soul of universe, universal, if you understand my point. And we have it inside. So basically, even the reincarnation, personally, I believe in reincarnation, but there is also a limitation, because the fact I don't know all of my reincarnation, of course, but even certain of them, do I feel really a proximity with all of them? Certain of them, not all of them, and even some of them I don't know. So what makes me so different? Once again, I take a basic example. If I've been, which is not true, but if I've been Shakespeare, to be or not to be, that is the question, and someone made a thesis on Shakespeare, he knows definitely more Shakespeare than me, despite the fact I've been connected to this. So finally, the treasure, the richness of Shakespeare finally embody in this current life. So basically, the essence of Shakespeare is more through this guy than with me. So at the end, what's the most important is the notion of archetypes and form south, or south form. It means what we credit in terms of thoughts, in terms of emotion, credits like clouds of energy. And then the more people adhere to that, the more bigger they are, the more density they have, and then like rain, it's in the matter. So an example of egregor: hate, fear. What we feel now, for example, COVID. A lot of people are afraid, and it's going to be the collapse, and so on. So people credit this notion of fear, and it becomes like a cloud, and it's like heavy, okay? And there is a big chance that it can be a collapse because of that, because we all nourish this egregor. This is the danger. Archetype is Romeo and Juliet, for instance. It never exists. These are fiction, okay? But this character, this archetype, exists in the sense that some family battling and so on, they hate each other, but the couple love each other. Probably happened from a form to another in Persia 1 century ago, or I don't know, 50th century in the middle of I don't know, Luton or Sussex, or in England, or I don't know, in the middle of Swaziland, or middle of anywhere, you see. So these are archetypes. This is just pure energy. So then the thing we have been, we at the ends, when we enlarge our perspective of consciousness, we realize that you have been this, you have been that, you did that, you did that. We don't care. Do you analyze when there is a buffet and all family participate to that? You don't say, she did the dessert, he did that, he did. This is here, we enjoy. That's it. And the same story for life in general. Well, more down to earth, I really invite you to think about all these elements. What I invite you for practice is the following: is just to fragment your life, and you establish a kind of the great book of life, which is persona is yours. So try to do some fragments of time, frame time, like 0 to 5 years old, 6 to 10 years old, 11 to 15 years old, and so on so far. Okay, so 5 years, and you try to give a chapter for this great book of life is your life, but a chapter, let's say with an evocative title for you to, it means something, is meaningful, and also try to extract few elements, 5 maximum, 5, 10 maximum if you want, but 5 significant events or teaching or experience, and you notes, okay? And try to assign, try also to write what brought you in terms of, let's say, intakes. Even a hardship, I told you, because you could not clean up your past, you could just be in peace with it. So, and the objective of this game is to reactivate your memory, your cell memory, your active memory, and also for you to be more in peace with your past, and also to see that the past is still vibrating towards us. You know, the notion of karma is not really well understood, because, and I like the definition that I find back in India, with men. Actually, it's through Paulo Coelho, and he explained that in Aleph, very nice book. And he said concretely, karma is not the heritage of all the shit you did, quote mark, all what you did, it can be also positive, but all what you did in the past. It is currently, now and here, you do correctly things, you clean up potentially your past, and the fact to be positive now and to be a beautiful person, clean up the past, bringing you to the present positive things, and cleaning as well, preparing as a springboard for having and reaching a better, harmoniously future. This is the point actually, and I like this way. Well, I really invite you to meditate on all these elements actively, passively, intuitively. Watch this video several times for you to take, to infuse, to soak, to digest, of course. Take some notes, try to rephrase, reformulate, try to synthesize, try to transmit to your relatives to see if you master, you understood properly everything, if you need to deepen some more information and so on. And at least try to share this video in the absolute. Like this, maybe some people will perceive different things, and by combining, maybe you enlarge your consciousness. Well, this is only one key, and step by step you are shaping your master key. Once again, I tell you, all the roads lead to Rome and to Rome. Thank you for your attention. See you later.